This is Bytnar Talks, the engineer takes on construction. Episode 7. Hi, I'm Bytnar. Each day I help my clients plan and design building projects through Bytnar Limited, a consulting chartered structural engineer's practice. My biggest passion and the cornerstone on which I've built my business is finding clever solutions for construction projects. I am a chartered structural engineer and a budding software developer, so you can rest assured that I will strive to talk about the best practices and the use of new technologies in the industry. And if you're embarking on a construction project or are involved in planning, designing and building the world around us, you'll find this podcast useful. This episode is about stage 5 of the plan of work: manufacturing and construction. Hello guys, how are you today? I'm excited to be back with you with the following episode, starting the exciting phase of the project definition process, which is construction and manufacturing. The stage where all the planning and designing efforts described in the previous episodes culminate in the physical action of project construction, and where contractors take the main stage. But before we get there, let me recap the last episode so I can transition well into this stage. In the last episode, I told you about the last of the design stages, stage 4, technical design, where the architectural process evolves to detailed design development involving the collaborative effort of all designers and specialists, producing technical drawings, specifications, and gaining regulatory approvals. Here, structural engineers ensure seamless alignment of design details and consider the buildability and strategic consideration of temporary works for construction. Structural engineers collaborate with manufacturers and contractors, specifying construction details and ensuring quality assurance. I've mentioned that overly precise design at this stage can lead to unrealistic expectations and site rework, and also that the fallacy of sole reliance on subcontractors or so-called specialist subcontractors may result in less cost-effective solutions. I concluded that small projects face challenges in reaching stage 4 due to time, cost constraints and competitive bidding, often described by the industry as the race to the bottom. Now, we move to the stage where construction takes place, so without further ado, let's get to it. With this 7th podcast episode on the plan of work, but the 5th stage in the process, we have finally reached the moment where shovels hit the ground and we can get down and dirty with the execution of the project on site. At the manufacturing construction stage, there are often still some technical designs lagging behind or still need to be developed by so-called specialist contractors. You know, your typical steel fabricators, concrete detailers, or carpenters. As the building is being erected, but those designs are often ancillary to main structures and will not significantly delay the project program if there are issues with them. It should tell you now that no one stage of the project should start if the full definition from the previous stage is not known, but this does not mean one cannot start with a particular phase of the building project if information for the delivery of that phase is good enough. Project program or procurement route will often influence the design delivery time, and the process should be flexible enough to allow for such overlaps. Stage 5 is all about creating that physical thing. However, some designs may still happen at this stage, but this design, it should not be considered to fall under the remit of this stage. All design considerations are encompassed within stages 2 to 4. Specialist contractors' designs and the review of this information is all stage 4, whether it happens prior to the start of the construction or during the construction. In the main body of this podcast, I'll tell you about 4 different aspects that I think is worth considering. As ever, the number 1 will be architect's perspective, number 2 will be engineer's perspective. In point number 3, I'll briefly tell you about 4 typical procurement routes and how these 3 typical procurement routes and how this influence the work at this stage. And who and what. Mysterious who and what. So without further ado, let's get to the main part of this podcast, shall we? So what's the architect's perspective then, right? The first thing that pops into one's mind is that the architect's perspective should be overseeing manufacturing, construction and commissioning of buildings should form a large part of their job. It involves working closely with contractors and builders to ensure that the design intent is accurately captured in the constructed elements. It is paramount to ensure that the correct translation of the comprehensive technical drawings and detailed specification developed in Stage 4 finds its resemblance into physical structure during the construction phase. Architects should respond to site queries, and that's another part of the architect's consideration for this stage. Life throws different balls at us, and unforeseen challenges are always a problem. Sometimes requests for change and variations may also happen during construction. With all these changes or challenges, we need to appreciate the integrity of the building itself to find the right local solution, wherever the sort of circumstances reveal themselves during construction. Architects, we monitor progress and check and report on construction quality, administering the construction contracts. We produce defect lists prior to practical completion being certified, and we plan for the project handover, which I will talk more about in Stage 6. We also prepare the building manual with health and safety file and fire safety information for the client to take over once the construction is completed. That will be 6 things that architects usually are considered with, but obviously there's much more than that. Similar to architects, the engineer's perspective considers, let's say, 6 different things as well. With 1 would be temporary works and its review. It might happen that contractor won't be able to or won't have capacity to design temporary work, so engineer may prepare that for the contractor. However, very often contractors do design temporary works, but it is good to have a extra eye reviewing that in the form of structural engineer. Temporary works can badly impact the permanent works, and that's one of the things that we'd like to avoid. Similarly to architectural consideration, the engineer can and should monitor quality of the construction and contractors' adherence with the technical design, and an engineer should be able to verify and review testing information of different parts of the construction. Engineers should resolve any site queries or requests for change and devise solutions for parts of work which do not conform but perhaps are salvageable to reduce unnecessary waste. Perhaps prepare as-built information if such a requirement has been identified in the responsibility matrix. Add to the handover documentation and identify snagging defects for correction. And number 6, assist in the creation of building manual, health and safety file, etc. So similar to architectural consideration, but obviously in the realm of engineering. The great deal on the determination of how and who and where and why work is the way we procure, or the procurement routes. And all different ways influence the process slightly differently, and projects that therefore become delivered differently. Maybe engineers and architects won't be included within each and every single route to the same extent. However, the plan of work stays the same, whichever procurement route you'll take, but the roles may change. So, for example, one of the typical procurement routes are, number one, the traditional route, where a contractor is appointed through a competitive tender process, and that competitive tender is being based on complete technical design, where that can be taken and tested and compared on the costs. The complete technical design may not always be representing all elements, and there are options to allow for provisional sums or contractor design portions to be developed at a later stage, but most of it should be specified and tabulated, and some costs plans should be associated with it as well, so we can compare apples to apples and pears to pears rather than going blindly into the market. Another procurement route would be design and build. This type of procurement may allow for an early engagement with the contractor, perhaps one well placed to deliver the type of the building in the local market. The contractor can be involved as early as stage 2, but usually they follow stage 3 and the grant of planning permission. In some cases of more involved projects, it may be prudent to have a 2-stage design and build process in place, where a contractor is appointed pre-construction for the necessary input into the design process, and then for the execution of work. And the next very often occurrence in procurement routes are management contracts, where a managing agent will coordinate the efforts of the design team and the work packages designed by contractors and subcontractors, so-called specialist contractors and whoever, and will often extend well into the construction phase, that design. Unfortunately, that's very often the case when everything is greatly disjointed. To put it all together isn't an easy feat. Obviously, there are more ways to arrange how the project is going to be delivered and who will fulfill their roles within the project definition process, but there's not enough storage on this recording device to describe this all now. I will perhaps talk about it in another episode or a series where I will maybe talk about different contracts and different arrangements. We will see. So you see, with all different procurement routes, you may think that, as you can see, this is all well and clear, but it is. But is it? There is a number of ways to define a contractor works. The plan of work is the process at the high definition. It's shown at the high definition level. It is by no means a legal requirement, so the actual arrangement of the stakeholders and team members is specific to the project. Risk appetite of the client, maybe experience of the people involved, of the client, of delivery, of the type of the project considered, possible contract types and procurement routes, that all influence who and what. You can hear from my podcast that I see the world from the perspective of a professional consultant, whether architectural or engineering, but the matter of fact is that arrangements may be, and usually are, flexible. Often appointments change or are developed further. At least looking at different procurement routes which will require different engagements at different times of different stakeholders can show how intricate the process may become. It is therefore imperative to define the procurement route, the matrix of responsibility and information requirements, together with what technology and to what detail it shall be prepared by each involved party. It is a mouthful, but without such a comprehensively defined document at the start of the process, at stage 1, preparation and brief, one embarks on an adventure, not on a well-defined journey. And as much as I like to help people get out of the problems when they inevitably find themselves in following ill or non-defined process, I trust you would not like to risk your time and money on such, so why would you? Okay, so this is it for today. Let me summarize the above points. I think it's quite easy and concise guide to that part. Let's get on and build it, but depending on the contract arrangement, procurement arrangement, all different people may be responsible for different things. But having said that, this isn't a dart game or hit and miss game. We need to have all of the parts, all of the responsibilities defined very early in the process. So whichever way we go, whoever we employ, when, for what, we know what to expect from them and when, and to what level of detail. So, summarizing it all up, as consultants, we wear many hats during Stage 5. First and foremost, we're the guardians of the project, making sure that what was envisioned in the design phase is accurately brought to life by working closely with contractors. It's like orchestrating a symphony of construction elements to ensure our vision becomes a tangible reality, right? We also play the troubleshooter role, addressing unexpected challenges that inevitably pop up. Whether it's dealing with site queries or requests for change during construction, we navigate these hurdles while keeping the essence and integrity of the building intact. It's about finding local solutions that make the whole process smoother. We track progress, ensure quality, and manage construction contracts as part of our daily tasks. Before we give the green light with practical completion certificate, we meticulously create a defects list, ensuring everything is in top-notch condition. And let's not forget about planning for the project handover to Stage 6 and compiling a comprehensive building manual complete with health and safety file and fire safety information. All essential elements of our role. As engineers, we ensure everything runs smoothly, reviewing temporary works, monitoring quality, and providing solutions for any bumps in the road. We're there to assist in creating manuals, identifying defects, and supporting a seamless handover process. Now, when it comes to procurement routes, it's like choosing the best path for the journey. The traditional route is like a tried and tested roadmap, competitive and based on a complete design. Design and build is more like a collaborative road trip, allowing early engagement with contractors. And the management route is the cruise control, with a managing agent coordinating efforts. There are more routes to explore, each influencing how our team is structured and how we navigate the project. In the grand scheme of things, it's like deciding who's who and what's what in a well-coordinated dance. Flexibility is key, and the plan of work is our trusty guide, ensuring everyone is on the same page. Plan of work might not be a legal requirement, but it's our guide, helping us avoid unnecessary detours and ensuring a smooth journey from start to finish. After all, who wants an adventure when you can have a well-defined, successful journey? Especially in that one that costs so much as a building project, right? Few words from me as ever. Thanks a lot for tuning in to this episode. I hope you found something useful for yourself today. If you are just embarking on a project, I trust some of this information will guide you in the right direction. But if you are a well-versed expert, perhaps this episode has freshened up your knowledge and enlightened your perspective. There is not a week that passes I do not receive distressed emails or calls from homeowners and landlords who have been taken advantage of by not so scrupulous designers. Designers who take them to planning or permitted development definition without considering the project enough to provide a buildable and correct solution for their needs. Hell, often it is simply and blatantly incorrect. Clients often do not understand that the process they are taken through does not mean that the local council checks the accuracy of the provided information or its buildability. As I like to say, whatever you write, whatever you draw, paper will take it all. Alas, the first step where the most experienced consultants should be used, people often choose the cheapest option or the option that shouts the loudest on their website. Unfortunately, an untrained eye will not be able to distinguish bad practices from the good, often till the time the contractor is well on site struggling to make heads or tails of the presented drawings. Even if this podcast leads to only one such client who will save himself or herself from the peril of appointing rotten consultants, I will be glad to have helped. Thank you again for listening. Please voice up your opinions. I'm waiting for you on LinkedIn and I want to hear from you. Toodaloo!